Hello, everyone. Welcome to Binary Alpha Season 5. This is our class number 12. We are going today to be talking about gap and split risk management. Now, these are some of the most important tools and principles that you will ever learn in your trading career, whether you were trading binary alpha, whether you were trading binary options, forex, stocks, commodities, whatever you were trading. This is probably some of the most important psychological and emotional information that you can ever apply that will help you to actually become a long-term trader. Honestly, this information is some of the reasons why people that only 5 to 10% of people who are actually traders, who are actually trading as a living, actually make it because they are able to grasp these principles and they were able to have enough maturity to say, okay, I need to follow this in my mindset. Okay, so let's jump right into today's topic. Gap and split risk management, they are ultimately rules and tools that help us to keep our emotions under control. Although binary alpha, we are trading on a system based upon logic, trading is also an emotional game. We can also call this gap and split risk management. We could also call it emotion management because that's ultimately what these tools are going to help us to do. Now, we want to manage risk as we take trades so that we do not take a large hit to our account. Nobody likes to take, a large hit on a trading account. And using gap and split risk management, you can manage that so you don't take a large hit to your account. We also don't want to try to martingale our way out of a sticky situation. Honestly, people say that they wouldn't do it, but when emotions get involved, very often, it's very easy to say, hey, I may go, oh, I lost four, but man, maybe I can get one more or two more. We talked about this in some previous classes. Sometimes your emotions get the better of you, and if you don't have a plan in place to say, hold on, I feel like I understand I'm getting too emotional about this loss or what's happening right now. If you don't learn to take a break, ultimately you can really mess yourself up. Proper risk management will help you go a long way in your trading career, and it will help you to not blow your money. Now, gap risk. Let's talk about this one first. Gap risk management is where we give ourselves a gap in time to make sure our emotions are in check. This is very, very important, okay? So imagine you're in a situation, we have four bullets within a binary alpha trading cycle, and imagine you've lost one, two, or three of these bullets, and you only have one left. And all of a sudden, you start feeling really stressed like, oh no, I've only got one bullet left or two bullets left to recover this entire cycle. Everything's happening very fast with binary alpha. It's 60-second trading and 2-minute trading. So pressure can come very, very fast. And when we lose one or two bullets, sometimes we feel this strong pressure on our minds or emotions. When that happens, we need to take a step back and we need to take a break. And that's what gap risk management is about. If we start feeling pressure on our mind or with our emotions because we are in some type of losing cycle and we've lost a few bullets and maybe we feel confused about the logic, maybe we thought it was one thing and it ends up being another. This is a time when we actually need to take a break. Now, taking a break for you just depends really on the person or the situation. Taking a break could be walking away from the computer for maybe an hour or two. For some people, maybe 30 minutes. Maybe some people, it could be, meditating or praying or really, going to take a walk outside or going to take a nap or eating or, going just getting away from trading altogether. But honestly, for some people, it could actually mean, walking away for an entire day, saying, okay, I'm not going to come back to trading until 24 hours from now or until the next trading day. And may sting a little bit, or that may feel like, oh no, but I can't do that because I need to recover my cycle. In those moments, we must remember that trading is a long-term game. No one within binary options trading becomes a millionaire overnight. No one makes, you know, $100,000 overnight with this. This is a long-term game, everyday battle in the market, fighting against the market. That's what binary alpha and what binary options trading is. It's not a short-term game. Although we're trading short-term trades, we're trading, trades within the fast markets, 60 seconds to 2 minutes. Ultimately, to build an account over time, it's a long-term game. So honestly, if you walk away after losing 2 or 3 bullets and come back the next day to try to recover that, that's not going to delay your time of moving forward with your account. Honestly, it may actually help you to move further faster by taking that break, by taking some time to walk away and process and maybe even think, okay, where do I want to recover? How do I want to recover? And then you can actually plan your attack and recover a lot smoother that way. Because if we do not take a break with this gap risk management, we can end up just like this guy. We can end up pulling our hair out and screaming like, "Oh my goodness, what have I done?" Because very often we will feel that pressure and we won't make a logical decision. We end up making the wrong decision. We lose a full 4 bullets, and then we get really upset with ourselves. Now, split risk management is about splitting our risk between more than one cycle. We may decide to trade bonuses in one cycle and seventh logics in another. Okay. And I'll show a few examples of what I mean. Split risk also comes in handy if we ever lose 4 bullets in a row. Remember, 6 logic here. If we get 4 losses, what do we always do? We stop. Okay. Sometimes it just happens in the market. Sometimes we may get it, and we may stop. There's a way to split our risk to where we can actually recover something like this. And let me show you a few different ways to do this. Normally, we trade our 4 bullets in one cycle, depending on what type of broker you use. You're either trading with your 4 bullets 5, 10, $25, and $63, or 5, 10, 25, and $100. Okay, depending on which broker you use. We've talked about this. If you have a broker where you can manually type in a specific amount of money, then you'll use the 5, 10, 25, and 63. If you are using a broker which utilizes a spot option platform, you will have to they have already chosen specified amounts for you, and usually it would be something like this: 5, 10, 25, and 100. Okay? So normally we trade our 4 bullets in one cycle, especially now as we're just trying to understand and prepare for just to get more understanding of how to trade in the market. But with split risk, we can just trade our first bullet or two of $5 and $10 in one cycle. So say I want to focus my $5 and $10 on bonuses, and I'm looking for bonuses, looking for bonuses. I get one or two, and maybe then I get a loss or two. I've lost a $5 and $10. If we lose in a cycle, if I lose a $5 or if I lose a $10, then we only go to play seventh and invalid seventh logics to recover our lost cycle. This is a way of splitting our risk, and this is what it means to split our risk between multiple cycles rather than one. So imagine that you trade and maybe you have a bonus or two, and then all of a sudden you have 2 losses. And you've won 2 trades because you've won 1 or 2 trades because you've won 1 or 2 bonuses, which is good. And then you've lost 2 trades. So to be able to recover that cycle to where instead of having 2 wins and 2 losses, which means you have a loss overall, you can stop there and try to recover with your last 2 bullets on another cycle. And that's why we call this split risk. You split to another cycle. So let me show you a few an example of what I mean. Okay, so say we're trading this cycle right here. We have a 3 candle flag sequence. Okay, so this is our flag here. We go for one bonus, we get it. Of course, we know with binary alpha that with such a big pin here, the market is showing some type of rejection. So we probably would not go for another bonus here, but just for argument's sake and just for the example, say we get, we have one bonus here. Say we go for another bonus, we lose. We see this is kind of just stuck here inside the second moving average and think, it might go up. I may try for another bonus. And then you stop. You lose 2 and say, I'm just not sure. Let me look at my trend line. Is this valid seventh or invalid seventh logic. I don't know. I don't know what to go for. And in a situation like that, we say, if I don't know, then it's better for me to stop, especially when we're playing with live money. And it's better for me to go to a scenario that I know better. Okay. So again, we get this set up. We take a bonus. We win one, and then we lose these two here. Now I can tell you what I probably would have done and what Kazi would have done. We talked about our flag cage in previous classes, but he would probably think this is a valid seventh logic, and he could take a fake push position off of the flag candle here. But anyways, that's another topic for another time. Okay, so say we get this, we're in our 4 bullet cycle, we're down 2, and we say I'm just not sure what I should do here. Okay, so we go to later on, we go to another pair. Maybe we take a gap in time, or maybe we're looking the same day, or we come to our 1 hour chart, we look for some potential places where the market could give us a valid seventh logic or an invalid seventh logic, and we're watching the market and we see this develop after we've lost our other two, and we know, okay, here's a nice flag sequence, two candle flag sequence. Here's a place that the market may try to bounce off of. Let me see what I can get here. And we see the flag candle. We see one loss develop. We see two losses develop. Now, the great thing about this type of situation is we have a little bit more time to analyze the market, right? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes actually to analyze the scenario. And we can play all the what ifs. Let me see where my trend line is. Let me see, where the Kazi high low is. And we can make a pre-decision and say if it comes here, it's a valid seventh. If it comes here, if it's an invalid seventh. Okay, there's all these different places where we can think about this from. Okay, and so we've taken our $5 and $10 and lost that in another cycle, and we've won a bonus. And now we're in this cycle. We have a $25 and a $63 left. And we see this develop, and we say, you know what? It's stuck here at this Kazi high low, and because it's stuck at this barrier, it's going to be an invalid seventh 2 minute. I'll use my $25, and there we go. With that $25, I have 2 bullets here. I have 25 and 63. I recovered with my $25 bullet my previous cycle that I lost, and now I can move on to another cycle. Now I have recovered that cycle using split risk management, and I use gap risk because I had to wait until a good setup came, right? Now, we will show you when you guys go into group trading, because you feel here's one thing you see right now. You see like, oh, this looks so nice. Look, 1, 2, loss recovery. Here's, 3 wins right here. And if you're waiting all day for some type of seventh or invalid seventh logic to develop, you feel like you miss stuff like this, right? But when we go into group trading, we actually have a very special calculator that you can use where even if you're waiting on something like this, you can also still have enough money in your money management to try to win something like this as well. Okay, so say you got into a setup like that. The previous one we talked about, you won a bonus, and then you left 2 bullets to be recovered. Well, here you could win these 3 also with the type of calculator that we will show you guys later, and then you win one here to recover your previous cycle, and you've already won one there as well. So you've won 1 here, 3 here, and 1 on your previous cycle. You've won 5 trades, and that's good enough for your day. And again, we can do this type of stuff all day long with the binary alpha understanding of how to trade. But this is also why set understanding and learning and becoming very, very well versed in seventh logic is extremely, extremely important, right? Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If, again, that's a way that we can split our risk where if we don't feel comfortable or confident about a current seventh logic type setup, or maybe even fifth logic, maybe I take a bonus, or maybe I try to go for a bonus and I lose one, and I'm not really sure if this is a fifth or seventh, or if it's a valid fifth or invalid fifth, I can stop, and then I have 3 bullets left to use to try to recover on a different cycle. Okay, so we can do that as well. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do when you lose 4 bullets? Now, depending on, and this is a huge question, probably a lot of you ask, because Sometime in your binary alpha trading career, if it hasn't already happened, if it has not already happened, I would be surprised. But if it has already happened, you probably wonder, well, what do I do? How do I recover that amount of money that I lost? So again, we said depending on which broker you trade with and the percentage of the payout that that broker offers, that can really make a small difference. But the recovery idea is ultimately the same about how to recover a four bullet loss. Okay, say we lose a full $5, $10, $25, and $63. Okay, we have a $103 loss. What do? We've lost $103. Say, our account size is $1,000. We've lost 10.3% of our account. What do we do? Okay, not a huge hit, but it's a hit to our account. We want to move forward, not backwards. Two different ways. If we recover with the same amounts, we use $5, $10, $25, and $63. Say we have a 70% payout, which is fairly common on these types of trades among brokers. We earn only about $3 per win. So it would take you 34.33 wins to recover that one full losing cycle, which could take a full week. Again, that's one of the reasons why split risk management is important because it's less likely emotionally as well for you to lose four bullets when you're splitting your risk. If you go for a 5 and a 10, you lose those two things. There's pressure there. There's a pressure to say, "Oh no, I've lost a 5 and a 10. I've got to figure out this really quick." And sometimes you can't figure out fast enough, but you try to, and then you lose your 25 and 63. But if instead you split your risk and say, "I lost my 5 and my 10. Hold on, let me get control of my emotions. Let me take a step back. I have two more bullets I can try to recover on other cycles with." You can split your risk and do that. But again, if you got into a situation like this where you lost all four bullets and you tried 5, 10, 25, 63, you earn $3 per win. It would take you over 34 wins to recover that one full losing cycle, which would probably take most people about a week, maybe even a little bit longer. Now, here's another way to do it, and this involves split risk as well, but in a different way. Now, this is a little bit easier, or a little bit easier way as far as time, but you have to be very, very good at seventh logic and invalid seventh logic. Now, if we become good at those, at seventh and invalid seventh logic, we can instead of doing $3 per win and taking an entire week to recover, we can actually trade the back end, okay, using only the 25 and $63. We know with seventh logic we have two bullets. Depending on where we are with the Kazi high low, it's either a 1 minute or a 2 minute trade, but it's always only two bullets at the very end of a cycle. So we can play the recoveries, basically play the end part of a cycle with an invalid or valid seventh logic using our 25 and $63 amounts. Now again, there's a higher risk here because you have to be very good at seventh and invalid seventh logics. But at a 70% payout, we make about $18 per winning cycle with the 25 $63 method, and we recover our full loss with only 5.7 trades. That means if you become good enough in 1 day instead of 1 week, you can recover your full four bullet loss. That's big because that gives you an entire 4 more days to continue trading with. Okay? But again, let me say this again. I can't stress this enough. You have to become very good at seventh and invalid seventh logic to use this back end recovery system. And again, this is a way of splitting your risk as well. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Now, honestly, if you do not master gap and split risk management, especially gap management, being able to take some time off to, relax your mind and really process what just happened with losing, you will never become a profitable trader. A proper mindset is just as important as proper logic. Let me say that again. A proper mindset, which has to do with controlling your emotions, having a trading plan, knowing how you're going to trade, preparing yourself. You may be the type of person that says, you know what, I see that I could be the type of person that would struggle to get my emotions under control. So let me make sure, to go ahead and pre-decide in your own mind. For me, saying, Adam, if you lose 2 bullets in one single cycle, you need to walk away for an hour and then come back and look at the chart in a better way. Or if you lose a full 4 bullet, come back the next day. Try not to think about it, walk away, think about, maybe come back to the screen a little bit later and try to figure out why you lost that trade, but don't take any more live trades for that day. Walk away. Okay? That type of mindset, having the maturity enough to set those parameters in your own mind and heart and emotions, is just as important, if not more important, than proper logic. Okay? You can know all the stuff, you can have all the logic down, but when you get to places where you start losing and you don't control your emotions, you can lose it all. You'll never become a profitable trader. But if you do, and if you pre decide all this beforehand and make a plan not only for your trading and your numbers, but for your emotions as well, then you can become a profitable trader long term. Most people do not think clearly under pressure, especially when it comes to trading. Maybe unless you have some type of military background or something like that. But even this is different because honestly, this has to do with money, and money stirs the emotions and stirs, it causes pressures like nothing else in the world sometimes. Most people do not think clearly under pressure, especially financial pressure, especially when it comes to trading. If we do not use gap or split risk management properly, then it's very easy to get into revenge trading mode and blow our whole account. Okay? So many people go to Vegas and blow all their money because maybe they won $100 and then they lose $200 and think, I got to get that back. I got to get that back. I got to get this money back. And then they get into revenge mode and just throw all the money into the casino. The same thing can happen in trading. We can throw all of our money back to the market if we're not careful, if we don't utilize these tools of gap and split risk management. Now, just one last thing to really think about, okay? It's a very important fact. Time is one of the most important commodities in trading. When you give yourself a gap in time to think clearly, it gives you the time to shake off the emotional pressure of a loss. That's very important, especially in the beginning of trading, because losses will come. And in the beginning, honestly, when you're demo trading, a lot of losses will come. A lot of losses will happen. That's just part of it. That's part of learning. You will make a bunch of mistakes before you become continually profitable. So when you give yourself a gap in time to think clearly, to shake off the emotional pressure of a loss, again, for some people it may be an hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes, it may be a whole day for you, maybe even for some of you it's an entire week or an entire weekend. Then you might be able to come back and analyze why you lost in the first place because you'll be more clear minded and find a really safe recovery. Remember, we only need 3 to 5 winning trades or winning cycles a day to grow an account significantly over time. It doesn't sound like much right now if you have a $1,000 account and you're taking five trades a day. That's $15 a day. That does not sound like a lot of money, right? In the beginning, it's not. It's not a ton of money, but when you get to the end of a week and you've won, 25 or just say 30 trades at $5 each, well, you've increased your money by $150, and you keep growing it, you keep growing it, you keep growing it, and that's 60% in 1 month growth on an account. That's huge, and that's just simply by winning 5 or 6 trades a day and doing it over time. Let's not rush into bad trades, and let's give ourselves time to emotionally recover from losses. Again, everyone, if you'll use these tools of gap and split risk management, this emotion management tools, I promise you, in the long run, it will far outweigh any other thing as far as trying to rush back into the market and get a trade. Sometimes you might get lucky doing stuff like that, but in the run, you're just going to become undisciplined and mess your emotions up. Please use these tools of gap and split risk management, especially if you want to become a co-trader with Kazi, but just for your own mindset. Ultimately, this is the thing this is one of the main things that's going to help you to keep your emotions under control when you get losses, because they will come. Okay? Thanks so much, everyone. I really hope you follow this and you listen to it maybe a couple of different times. Write yourself a plan. You know yourself better than anybody else does. Write yourself a plan. If you're the type of person who needs to take a day off, an hour off, a weekend off, stick to that plan. And you could also have somebody else to hold you accountable for it. Maybe somebody else within Binary Alpha, a friend, a spouse, a family member. Ask somebody to hold you accountable as well. Maybe when you trade and you get a big loss, call somebody and say, "Man, I know I don't need to trade right now. If I trade, I'm going to lose." And let that person hold you accountable. I know this may even sound crazy, but if you have somebody in the house, maybe get them to put a password on the computer at that time so that you can control your emotions appropriately. Okay? And again, this will help you so much in the long run. And really, it's not weakness to do those things. Actually, those things are strength, and those things are signs of maturity, because knowing yourself best and knowing your weaknesses when it comes to trading, when it comes to revenge trading or martingaling or whatever it is, having those proper emotions under control and being able to say to somebody, "Hey, I'm not strong enough to jump right back into the market. Will you please, hold me accountable when I do lose, and help me to have a proper mindset, not jump back into the market." That's actually a sign of strength and maturity, not weakness. And you will go a long ways with that. I promise you guys. Thanks so much. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and we will see you soon. Thanks.